Hello! Welcome to Light Tarot, where the reader is bubbly, but the readings can get dark. So today I am going to be working on the Taurus 2026 month-to-month reading, which I am doing for all zodiac signs. But this round, I am really trying to take some time to sit with each energy and take my time with it. So these readings can get pretty lengthy, which means that it's taking a lot of time for filming and for editing. And I do have a full-time job, and I do have other things going on in my life, and it is the holiday season. So I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to pump out the readings back to back to back to back to back, but I will do my darndest to get them out as quickly as possible. So without that being said, on to Taurus. Okay. Overall energy. Overarching energy for the year of 2026 is going to be the Six of Wands. Recovery. Which kind of makes sense because I don't know if you guys are keeping up with astrology as well, but next year, May, finally, Uranus is ending its 8-year cycle in Taurus. So I'd imagine that a lot of you, including myself, have been going through this crazy time in the last 8 years, and that's finally coming to a head next year. January, Ace of Pentacles. Thank God. Okay. February. Ten of Swords. Youch. Okay. March. Five of Wands. Ooh. All right. January looked promising, but February, March is looking kind of rough here, guys. Not gonna lie. Okay. April. Ace of Cups in reverse. May. Mother of Cups with the Fool in reverse. June. Ace of Wands in reverse. July. Ten of Cups in reverse. August. The Sun. September. Wow. Okay. We got 3 for that one. I was trying to stick with 1 for each month, but we'll take what we are given. Strength, 4 of Swords, and 4 of Cups. October. The Empress in reverse. November, the Lovers in reverse. December, 8 of Cups. All right. Well, it's looking like a rough year for us again. Shit. Okay. It's all right. This 8-year Uranus cycle has made me strong like a bull. We can take it. But let's dig into this and see why and what now. But I'm going to pull an alchemy card for each quarter, which is why I have a small desk here, but I tried to split out the months in quarters. I'm so limited in space over here though. Okay. Especially like with what shows in the camera. Okay, let's go. Alchemy cards for each quarter. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Venus. For the second quarter, we have Quicksilver. Interesting. pretty mercurial or something. Third quarter, Saturn. Oof. Okay. Finally, the fourth quarter, Jupiter. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So, this overarching energy card is going to be read last. First, starting with Venus. So that is the fourth card in the book. Pleasure, Eros, beauty. With the arrival of Venus, the senses open as if for the first time. It is the planet of pleasure, of touch, of sensual delight. Venus is often depicted as romance or eroticism between people, but it can also be experienced as an all-out love affair with Mother Nature herself. Aphrodite emerging from the ocean is a classic example of Venus imagery, as is Cupid with his bow. No matter how old or jaded you are, when this card appears, it's a sign that attraction is at an all-time high. The laboratory is alight with love. You may be in love with the work, with the materials, with another person, or with the world itself. Seeing beauty in small moments is a sign Venus is in balance, an obligatory reminder that pleasure and pain are usually found intertwined. That last part hit, and I think that's what this is. Love and pain are often intertwined. Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles is about new opportunities, usually material, money, job, work, projects, the tangible. And Taurus tends to use that as a coping mechanism. Like if you see a Taurus suddenly excelling in their career really fast, that's a Taurus that just got their heart beaten to a pulp. So, Ace of Pentacles in January is telling me that you're running from something from 2025. February, March. February is the Ten of Swords, and that's about endings, brutal endings. March, that's Five of Wands, and that's conflict. What this is telling me, Taurus, is the first quarter of the year, the first 3 months in the year, next year, we are teeter-tottering between hardening and healing. But we've learned things from this 8-year cycle with Uranus in our sign. We have been broken down completely and built back up from there. I don't know what you guys experienced during this 8-year cycle, but I literally, life-changing diagnosis, near death, critical illness, job loss twice, abusive relationship, got out of that, another crappy relationship, got out of that, and then an almost relationship that I got out of that too. And there are two ways that people can go after experiences like that, back to back to back to back to back, where it looks like, it feels like life is kicking you in the teeth every turn you take. And for us Taurians, that's rough because we just like stability. We like peace. We like days to be predictable. We like ease. We are ruled by Venus. Venus. That's the feel good. That's the, what's pleasurable, what's nice. So when life gets rough, it's really rough for us. But I also know that Taurus can be stubborn. I also know that Taurus can be prideful. And when you're stubborn and prideful, sometimes that in itself blocks the healing. Kind of turns you into something a little more mangled than you were meant to become. But there's a lesson in this. And I hate it when people say that because, yeah, I know, but let me grieve, let me mourn, let me feel what I feel. And that's what we're doing in the first quarter. We're not bypassing how we feel. We're processing. And that's why it's taking us a minute to get to the lesson. It's like we know, but it's taking a minute for the heart to catch up, for the nervous system to catch up, for the lesson to actually sink in and become a tool in our tool belt that we can use in the future, that we will think to use in the future. We're nearing the end of an 8-year cycle that has put us through a lot, whether this be love, work, life in general, health. I mean, it hit me in all kinds of different directions. So I'd imagine you guys have gone through something similar, but you've come out so different. And there's something to coming out different and looking back at where you came from, how you were before all of those things happened. There's a certain sense of finality to that. But the thing is, this is really just the beginning. This was really just an initiation for what's next. But a lot of us feel worn down, worn out, tired, done. And you can either succumb to that and harden, go jaded, go tired, go resentful, bitter, angry, leery, skeptical, or you can look at everything that you've survived and see how much of yourself has changed, has grown. Because we don't gain confidence from being told that we're amazing. We don't gain confidence, even really from recognition. True confidence is gained through achieving amazing things. True confidence comes from work put in and seeing for yourself the results of that work, whether anyone else sees it or not. And looking back, there's a lot of pain, there's endings, there's a lot of change, and you are the culmination of that work. Now, the question here is, can you look at yourself and see yourself as your greatest achievement, your greatest accomplishment, the work that you have put in for the last 8 years? Can you acknowledge that in yourself? Can you see it in the way you walk different, you look different, you act different, you feel different? Taurus is capable of a lot of rage. I mean, you don't mess with a bull. But Taurus is also capable of a lot of love, a lot of warmth, softness. Bulls are meant to be just spacing out in meadows, not in the ring with a matador. Rage is not the nature of the bull, it is a consequence. The nature of the bull is peace. Now, after everything that we have been through, can we return to that peace whilst also knowing what we are capable of? Venus, always remember the energy that you carry. You carry the energy of love on your weathered back. I think that's what you needed to hear, especially for this Five of Wands appearing in March. Is it a fight worth fighting, or can you save your energy for something that matters more? Okay. Quicksilver. Quicksilver. Slippery, mobile Mercury. Didn't I say that this was mercurial energy? Anyway, part liquid and part metal, Quicksilver, also known as Mercury, is a mesmerizing material. Its gift is to slip between worlds. It cannot be pinned down or easily defined. Mercury came to symbolize the god Hermes and the great hermetic secrets of alchemy, always sliding away into secrecy just beyond the alchemist's grasp. It is said Mercury represents the transition between the physical and the unseen worlds, between life and death, between science and the esoteric. It is the metal of sacred thresholds. Shamanic practitioners of every tradition must acquire the ability to stand at the doorway between worlds. This is no small feat. The Mercury card indicates the querent has a particular gift for such a task. This is the work of the shaman, teacher, sage, artist, and alchemist. Heed the call of Quicksilver. The sacred threshold requires your attendance. That's interesting, considering that we have the Ace of Cups in reverse for April, Mother of Cups in the upright, with the Fool in reverse for May, and the Ace of Wands in reverse for June. Teeter-tottering, teeter-tottering. I'll be honest though, I think this is about love. And I don't say that lightly because I hate reading about love. But it's not about romance. It's about love and the essence of how you love, more what you love from. Because a lot of people out there, they love from their head, or they love from their eyes. They love with their heart. They love transactionally, logically, passionately, but not many people can love from the soul. And what was I just talking about? Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet of love. Innately, we are love. I notice that it's the Ace of Cups that it's in reverse, but the Mother of Cups is in the upright. The Mother of Cups in the upright with the Fool in May is telling me, especially because the Fool is in reverse, that you're learning how sacred your love is. There might be a small disappointment in April in romance or friendship, some kind of connection doesn't work out. But maybe circumstantially it would have been fine, but there's something about it that doesn't feel right to you. It doesn't resonate with you. The Ace of Cups is just not enough. It's not enough when you have a whole bucket, right? It's like you're here carrying a bucket of love and they come up, here's a cup. And you're just like, but kind of bleeding in from March, it almost feels like there's a part of you that's like, well, should I just, tone mine down? Should I just scale mine down a little bit so that we're more equal? Should I just hold back and reciprocate exactly what they're giving me? But it's like you grow to realize that you can't love that way. It's too calculated for you. It doesn't resonate with your soul. And you're loving from your soul. Your love is ancient. It's transcendent. it exceeds the capacity of most. And that's a lonely place to be because you're loving in a way that is rarely ever reciprocated. But with the Fool in reverse, it looks like you're becoming more discerning with how and where you give it. All or nothing. You get all of me or none of me, but I'm not shrinking myself so that I'm easier for you to swallow. Ace of Wands in reverse in June is also telling me that the part of you that moves from passion is slowing down a little bit, just becoming a little more discerning, more careful. Because a thought that just crossed my mind is I imagined a guy in a suit from a jewelry shop trying to chase down a customer, begging them to buy the diamond, saying, I'll make it half off. I'll make it 75% off. What about 90% off? Why would you do that? What you have, and it feels like nobody wants it, and you feel rejected, and you feel like, well, if nobody wants it, then maybe what I have isn't so great. Maybe what I'm offering isn't so great. That's not true. As a matter of fact, what you're offering is so great that most people can't afford it. Let them not be able to afford it. Let them. If what you're offering is so great, why are you chasing people down, begging them to take it? You don't have to do that. What you're offering is rare. Quicksilver is about being in between realms at a doorway. And I think we see a lot of that in love because nothing shows the depth of a person, the capacity of a person, quite the way love does. Nothing shows the degree to which a person has healed quite like love does. And it seems that April, May, June, we're teetering between loving on a more earthly plane kind of way or trying to pretend that we can. Kind of, it's almost like disfiguring our natural form of love to make it fit into the box of what is expected in this world, when that is not who we are, that is not how we are. We are actually more teeter tottering between the reality of the isolation, the cost of growth, the cost of depth, and the value of it. The love that you carry is spiritual. So, of course, not many are meant to understand. And learning to be okay with the loneliness of being misunderstood and instead finding belonging in yourself is the fast track to growth, because then you're not holding yourself back anymore for the sake of fitting in, for the sake of staying manageable. It's like you break out of the box, you get a little bit bigger, and you try to fit back in the same box, and you just don't anymore. It's kind of like when you keep goldfish in a fish tank. They think that goldfish only are meant to grow to the size of the tank. That's not true. Actually, goldfish emit a hormone into the water, and the density or the concentration of this hormone in the water tells them how much room they have to grow. And so when this hormone gets really thick in that water, they stop growing. Their growth gets stunted. That crushes their organs. It's not good for them. That's why people think that goldfish are only meant to live a couple years. No, they're meant to live like 25 to 50 years. It's just that people don't usually provide them with a tank large enough to house them. Fancy goldfish get to the size of a grapefruit, 8 inches or more. The kind of goldfish that they give you at the fairs that you just went at a fair, yeah, those little guys get to 12 inches. They're not even meant for tanks, they're meant for ponds. And so it's like if you take a goldfish out of a small tank and that hormone dissipates because now they have more space, they'll grow more and they won't fit back in their old tank anymore. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of here. Stop and go and stop and go and stop and go and grow and try to run back and grow and try to run back, because the more you grow, the lonelier it gets, the less understandable you are, the less manageable you are. And the pond is a scary place. You're free, but there are predators out there. It's dangerous out there. But you also have to remember that you've been living in this pond. You know your way around it, and you now have the tools to survive it. So you have to have faith in yourself, have faith in your growth, have faith in all of the tools that you have collected along the way through experience, and put them to use. It's safer in a fish tank. But once you've tasted the freedom of a pond or a lake or the ocean, you just can't go back to a fish tank. Once you've understood how it is to love from the soul, to embody love, to love despite the pain that you have been through. Instead of hardening, you can't go back to pretending that you're colder than you are, that you care less, just because apathy seems to be the new in thing. You can't pretend to be that because that's not who you are. That's not how you operate. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, long story short, back to Quicksilver's point, thrust yourself through the door. Don't hinder your growth standing there waiting for someone else to catch up. All right, getting into July, August, September. September seems like it's going to be a big one. Saturn, structure, authority, consequences. Saturn is known as the great ruler, the authoritative figure, and the structuring force. Limitations, rules, logistics, and laws all fall under Saturn's claim, and they insist on our adherence. Saturn constricts, it corrects, it governs. The force of this planet is mind bogglingly frustrating, especially for creative types, as it can feel like one limitation after another. Yet its ability to support is unmatched. No creative project can come to be without the Saturnian qualities of commitment, endurance, and steadiness. The tick of the clock reminds us of this planet's steadfast presence, eternally measuring. It's no surprise it's associated with the metal lead and the qualities of density and weight. To embrace Saturn is to embrace the foundation and become one's own central authority. It's not as dull or easy as it sounds. That's Saturn's secret. To embrace Saturn is to embrace the foundation and become one's own central. Is that not kind of what I was just talking about? So, July, we have the 10 of Cups in reverse. August, we have the Sun in the upright. And Saturn, we get Strength, 4 of Swords, and 4 of Cups. There's a lot of fours in this reading, I'm just realizing. Between Venus, 4 of Swords, 4 of Cups. And 4 is about foundations. 4 is about building, but 4 is also about restrictions. 4 is about law. 4 is about order. I see. So in healing, there are different stages, right? Um, for example, one part that they don't talk about enough when it comes to mental health is you go through years and years and years of therapy, and you sit there and you're talking to the same therapist every week for years. And you talk through your childhood, you talk through your mental limitations, you talk through all of these things, and you gain all of these awesome tools, a new way of thinking. But what reacts to stress first, before anything else does, before your mind does, before your heart does, before your logic kicks in, is your nervous system. That reacts to stimuli faster than anything else can. So, in therapy and counseling, you're healing the logic part of things, you're healing the mind and heart part of things. But how do you heal a nervous system? You heal a nervous system by putting your tools to use. You put your mental healing into practice. Exposure therapy. You subject yourself to scenarios that you feared, that you shrunk in, and you learn to stop fearing them through repeated exposure. Saturn, that limitation, that's what it feels like. That knee jerk reaction that you have that makes you want to hide who you are, shrink who you are for the sake of belonging, for the sake of acceptance. It's natural for us to want to adapt to our environment so that we can feel safe in the environment. It is literally how we are wired. We are wired for harmony, and sometimes maintaining the peace means chipping away at yourself to do so. So it is natural that the first reaction to, say, rejection is going to be, what did I do? What can I do differently? What do I need to change? What's wrong with me? Self reflection is important for the sake of growth, but there's a fine line between self reflection and blaming yourself for external circumstances that were beyond your control. And so, July, August, September, it feels like embodiment. That's what I'm getting at here. It feels like subjecting your nervous system to things that you were afraid of before and feeling that limit, feeling that limitation, feeling those boundaries by poking around at your triggers. 10 of Cups in the reverse. That's about your idea of happiness changing. Because when we look at what's next, the Sun, The 10 of Cups. 10 cups don't have the capacity for the joy that that burning ball of fire can bring. You're feeling those boundaries in your capacity for the love that you hold, the love that you're capable of holding, versus where you keep shrinking yourself to be accepted. Strength, 4 swords, 4 cups. And that feels like that ongoing internal negotiations almost. Because the 4 of swords is contemplative. The 4 of cups is passive. What keeps coming to mind is I don't know what they call them in English. They're these little like wheels that go in like rivers and stuff, and they kind of interrupt the flow of water a little bit. But it's like things happen, life happens, your feelings happen, you observe, you observe, you observe, and then you hit a spot where you go, oh, let me think on this a little bit. Okay, now you can go. And it's like putting into practice active decision making based on the growth that you've already been through, putting your tools to use and starting to learn actively by practicing when to use them, how to use them. This is nervous system work. Back to the Saturn card about becoming your own authority. It's like this is because if wacky Uranus has taught us anything in the last 8 years, it is that while Taurus loves stability, we cannot expect stability from our external circumstances. We have to become our own stability. We have to learn to stay steady, no matter what happens around us or to us. And this is putting that in practice. Going into October, November, December, and we have Jupiter. Expansion, possibility, fortune. Jupiter is often a welcome sight, emerging from the darkness, shimmering with possibilities. It is the planet of growth, expansion, success, and elevation. When this card appears, the future is full and bright, perhaps even dazzling. Everyone wants to be around Jupiterian energy and to claim a little for themselves. So there's likely a magnetic feeling at play. The work is to keep Jupiter's bigness in balance during the wave of expansion that's taking place. Its shadow is most easily seen in celebrity culture, excess consumption, and messaging of never enough. You may begin comparing yourself with others or assessing your value. Don't double judge yourself for this. Jupiter happens. Instead, realign with the benevolent message in your heart. What truly needs expanding? It's likely not your followers or your bank account. And that brings me right back to what I was just talking about of having to become your own steadiness. The Empress in reverse. The Empress is literally the card of Taurus. I think I got a similar read with Aries. Is that the ways in which you've always identified yourself, described yourself, are outdated. You're different now. You've changed, whether you see it or not. But I think through this next year, you are seeing it in the difference in the way you catch yourself almost when you feel yourself trying to edge back into old cycles of holding your tongue to keep the peace, of shrinking your love as not to scare people away, adjusting, dialing yourself down or up, not according to what feels right to you, but according to what the room calls for. You're catching yourself. And these are things about yourself that you didn't notice before. The Empress in reverse, the Lovers in reverse, the Eight of Cups in the upright. At the very core of all of this is the time that abandonment was chronic. When abandonment wasn't just a person disappearing on you, it wasn't just rejection, it wasn't just not being accepted, it was chronic. The core of this is the years you spent trying to figure out how to make someone love you. And instead of realizing that it's not possible to do so, that someone either loves you or they don't, and nothing that you say or do can change that. When you realized that, that you never had a fighting chance to begin with, because if someone loves you, then if anything, the opposite is true, for there is nothing that you can say or do to make them stop loving you. And so, if they didn't love you, no matter how much you contorted yourself, then they just never did love you, and they never will. What needs to expand is you. Uncrumple yourself from all the times you shrunk, from all the times you bent over backwards, from all the times you tried to hide all for the sake of being accepted by someone that was never going to accept you no matter what you did. That is the core of all of this, is that somewhere along the way, you lost yourself trying to fit what you thought was someone else's ideal. But you're learning that and you're putting that to practice. And your heart may not have caught up to the decisions that you've been making from a place of integrity. Your heart still wants acceptance. Your heart still wants to be loved whole. So you're learning not to flinch and shrink and crumple yourself up into nothing again, just to be accepted. What needs to be expanded is you. But it's almost habitual to make yourself more bite-sized, to make yourself more understandable. But I'm a linguist for a living, kind of. And I know that even between two languages, some things get lost in translation, no matter how fluent you are in both languages. There are words that just don't exist in the other language. And so that turns into explaining nuances. It turns into improvising to make it kind of an equivalent. But when you're speaking two different languages, it's hard for those people to truly, fully understand one another. There's cultural context, there's nuances, there's words that don't exist in the other language, and then add personal differences to that, differences in personal experience, worldviews. It's hard. And what I'm saying is that you've learned the language of soul love. You've gained a certain depth to yourself that can't be explained and honestly doesn't have to be. So the focus needs to be less on trying to contort yourself, to translate yourself, to be more acceptable and understandable, and rather more on just this blind focus on expanding yourself, no matter who or what you outgrow. Even when you outgrow the things and people that you wanted to keep, the things and people that are familiar and comfortable, but stagnant, you grow fearlessly, unapologetically, and you don't stop because you owe yourself that. I was just telling someone that my courage is not innate. My ability to stick up for myself is not something that I was born with. It was conditioned out of me. And for the longest time, my response to aggression, to rage, was to shrink, hide, flip over, belly up, because that's what I had to do to keep myself safe for the longest time. But the way I see myself, there's me and there's my inner child. There's the childhood version of me that needed someone to protect her, to fight fiercely for her. I cried, and instead of heroes, predators came. An adult me, healed me, empowered me, owes her the protection that she never got. And so I fight fiercely. She gets all the room she wants. I'm raising her, and I want to teach her all the things that I wish she knew back then. I wish she knew how cats have been known to chase away bears and alligators simply because they're fierce and they dared to. Yeah, my courage was built over years and years and years of fighting fights that I didn't know if I was going to win. All because I was done shrinking. I was done submitting. I was done because deep down I knew that I was more than what people wanted from me. I was more than what people had the capacity to hold. And my shrinking wasn't for my protection, it was for compliance. Because people mistreat what they don't understand sometimes. Because fear, all fear is rooted in unknowing, in ignorance. Did you know that the part of the brain that is activated in racists when they encounter someone of a different race is the amygdala? The amygdala is what triggers the fight or flight response in the brain. It's the alarm that goes danger. Hate is just fear. Fear stems from ignorance, uncertainty. And so when you learn to get comfortable in uncertainty, when you learn to put your trust not in the branch beneath your feet, but in your own wings, and you become certain in yourself, and you don't count uncertainty from your surroundings. You become brave. Basically, what I'm saying is grow, expand, don't apologize for it. People will mistreat you for it. People will come at you sideways for it. Don't shrink. How they respond to your growth does not matter. It'll affect you, not gonna lie. It'll hurt, not gonna lie. It'll feel lonely, not gonna lie. It'll feel like rejection, not gonna lie. But it's not rejection because you're not enough. It's just rejection because they don't have the capacity for you. 2026, the overarching energy is the Six of Wands. You're rising again. You're recovering, but that doesn't mean that you're returning the same. This isn't a caterpillar up here. This is a butterfly. You're coming out different. You're coming out better, stronger, bigger. Whew, 2026 is going to be a big year. Big year. Hopefully quieter than the last 8 years that we've had, though. It really looks like overall this is going to be a period of recovery, a period of integration, shall I say. Integrating everything that you've learned up until this point. This is the accumulation of your work from the last 8 years. You're embodying it. Good. All right. Well, I hope that helped. Good luck, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.